Ladies and gentlemen, there will come a time, and not just once, when life will break you. It won't ask for permission. It won't warn you in advance. It will come like a storm you didn't see forming. And when it does, it will leave pieces of you scattered, your plans, your dreams, your strength, your hope. You will look in the mirror and not recognize who you are. But I want you to know something sacred. Being broken is not the end. It is the beginning of revelation. You see, nothing in life multiplies until it is broken. A seed must break open to grow. Bread must be broken before it can feed. Oil does not flow from a whole olive, it flows when the olive is crushed. The question is not if life will break you. The question is what will come out of you when it does. Life doesn't destroy you when it breaks you, it reveals you. When the weight of trials, disappointment, betrayal, or unexpected loss crashes in, it can feel like the world is falling apart. But what if it's not falling apart? What if it's falling into place? What if the breaking is not meant to ruin you, but to uncover something deeper inside you that comfort could never introduce? We are often so attached to our surface, our image, our titles, our plans, our sense of control, that we forget who we are underneath. And life, in its divine strategy, will allow certain things to break so that the shell we've built around our true selves can fall away. Not to shame us, but to show us there are gifts, strengths, and clarity that only pressure can produce. What emerges in hardship is what was already placed within you by design. Crisis doesn't create strength, it exposes it. Trouble doesn't give you purpose, it reveals the purpose that was hidden beneath your comfort zones. There are dimensions of faith, resilience, grace, and wisdom that cannot be activated in times of ease. When everything is going well, we rely on what we can manage. But when life breaks us, we are forced to tap into what we cannot see, what we did not prepare for, what we didn't know we carried. That is where the revelation begins. You never truly know the quality of a vessel until it is tested. You don't know what a person believes until life contradicts their expectation. And you don't know what you've been carrying until your outer world falls apart. The breaking is not random. It is targeted. It comes to remove the unnecessary, the distractions, the illusions, the dependencies. And once those things are shaken loose, what remains is what's real. Not what people see, but what heaven sees. Not what impresses the crowd, but what was born of eternity. That's why breaking moments can also be birthing moments. They take away the noise so the voice within can be heard. They strip away what you built and reveal what God planted. You thought you were losing everything, but you were finally seeing the beginning of something true. Nothing multiplies until it's first broken. This is a principle that governs both the natural and the spiritual. A seed, no matter how perfect it looks on the outside, cannot grow until its shell breaks open in the soil. That shell protects it for a time, but eventually it must yield to the pressure of growth. The same is true of us. We carry within us untapped power, untapped purpose, untapped grace, but it remains dormant until something forces us to open. And often it is pain that serves as the force. It is discomfort, failure, rejection, and heartbreak that press against the surface of our lives until we crack open, and what was hidden begins to emerge. Multiplication is not the result of convenience. It is the fruit of breaking. Bread cannot feed until it is broken. An olive cannot release its oil until it is crushed. The caterpillar cannot fly until the cocoon is torn. These images are not poetic. They are prophetic. They speak of the process that must occur before increase can happen. We pray for expansion, but run from the breaking. We ask for more, but resist the very process that brings it. But the truth is, the more you are broken in the right way, the more room is made for what God has deposited inside you to spread, to grow, and to impact others. There are parts of you that will remain sealed until life presses you. You may never know the depth of your peace until the storm comes. You may never know the strength of your faith until the ground beneath you shakes. You may never know your ability to forgive until betrayal enters your story. And while breaking feels like a loss in the moment, it is actually a signal that something greater is about to be released. What comes after the breaking is not a weaker version of you. It is a multiplied version. More humble, more focused, more surrendered, more effective. Your influence expands not because you avoided pain, but because you allowed it to stretch you, to open you, to break you in the right direction, so that what was in you could no longer remain hidden. Pain is the passageway to purpose. It is not an interruption to your life story. It is often the chapter that defines it. Many people try to avoid pain, numb it, silence it, or outrun it, thinking that its presence is proof that something has gone wrong. But pain is not the enemy. It is the revealer. It tells you what matters. It brings attention to what has been ignored. It exposes what's broken, what's missing, what's out of alignment. And if you let it, pain will guide you to the deeper places where purpose is born. Greatness is not forged in ease. It is revealed in adversity. The calling on your life is too significant to come without a price. Every destiny must pass through the door of discomfort. Purpose is not a vacation. It is an assignment. And every assignment carries weight. That weight presses on the soul, confronts your pride, and forces you to go deeper than the surface version of yourself. Pain then becomes the chisel that carves out what doesn't belong. It shapes you into the person your calling requires. It burns away distraction and sharpens your vision. It purifies motives. It awakens urgency. People who have found true purpose are not those who lived perfect lives, but those who allowed their pain to push them past the shallow places into something eternal. The pain didn't stop them. It sent them. There are some doors that only open after heartbreak. Some strength you only discover in weakness. Some clarity that only comes after confusion. Pain clears the fog. It reveals what truly matters. It realigns your steps. It births compassion, and it calls forth courage. That's why the most dangerous people in the world are those who have suffered deeply and kept going. They don't walk in arrogance. They walk in authority. They don't need applause because they've walked through fire and discovered something applause could never give. Pain introduced them to themselves. It stripped away the masks and left behind something real, not perfect, not polished, but powerful, because when pain meets surrender, purpose rises. It no longer becomes something you chase. It becomes something you embody. Your true identity is often hidden beneath what had to be broken off. We live in a world that teaches us to build up layers of image, performance, defense, and self-preservation. From a young age, we learn how to adapt to what others expect from us. We wear masks to be accepted, we create roles to feel safe, we build identities around our pain or our accomplishments. And the longer we live like this, the harder it becomes to know who we truly are underneath it all. But life, in its divine orchestration, has a way of allowing those layers to be stripped away. Through breaking, there are moments when what we depended on crumbles. Relationships fail, careers shift, health declines, people disappoint us, and the identity we built around those things begins to collapse. But in that collapse, something sacred happens. We begin to see what was never meant to define us. The applause, the role, the title, the relationship. They were chapters, not our core. And once they fall away, the real you starts to emerge. Not the version you learned to perform, but the one that was hidden beneath the noise. It is in the breaking that identity is clarified. You don't find your true self by building up more. You find it when life breaks off what doesn't belong. That pain you walked through revealed what was real. That loss you survived showed you what couldn't be shaken. That betrayal you overcame forced you to see where your true worth comes from. Every breaking moment, though painful, was an invitation to go deeper. Beneath the surface, beneath the ego, beneath the fear, lies a version of you that was created in wholeness. A version that is not tied to applause or achievement. A version that remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. When you stop resisting the breaking, you begin to see that it wasn't trying to reduce you. It was trying to reveal you. The shedding of what you thought you needed made room for who you truly are to rise. The you that can't be shaken. The you that carries purpose without needing permission. The you that was formed in truth, not in image. Pressure and breaking are not punishments, they are preparations. In life, we are often conditioned to associate pain with punishment, as if struggle is a sign that we've done something wrong or missed the mark. But there are some trials that are not caused by mistakes. They are assigned by destiny. Pressure does not show up to crush you, it comes to shape you. And breaking does not arrive to end you, it comes to release what has been buried within you. Before every promotion, there is a proving. Before every calling is fulfilled, there is a crushing. The crushing is not sent to destroy the vessel, but to bring forth what the vessel was carrying all along when life begins to apply pressure. It is often a signal that something greater is being formed. Diamonds do not emerge in comfort. Oil is not drawn without force. Wine is not released without pressing. The same is true with your purpose. There are gifts, wisdom, and strength that can only be developed under the weight of pressure. Preparation is not a glamorous process. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't look like progress, but it's necessary. Because it does something comfort, never will it develops endurance, maturity, vision, and surrender. You begin to see differently under pressure. You begin to pray differently when you're being broken. You begin to move not by ambition, but by assignment. Preparation often feels like isolation. It feels like you're being hidden, overlooked, or delayed. But you are not being buried, you are being planted. And everything that's planted must go through darkness before it sees light. Just because no one sees the process doesn't mean the process isn't working. You don't need to be seen to be shaped. You don't need a platform to be prepared. Some of the greatest transformations happen in secret. What looks like breaking is actually a divine construction. The pressure builds capacity. The crushing builds authenticity. The waiting builds trust. It is in these moments that you learn how to walk not by what you feel, but by what you know. Not by what's comfortable, but by what's true. You begin to move from surviving to surrendering, and in surrender, you are made ready. What comes out of you when life breaks you reveals what was planted in you. Life has a way of squeezing the soul, of placing you in moments where the pressure feels unbearable and the future uncertain. And in those moments, when the outer shell begins to crack and the comforts fall away, something starts to rise from within. That something is not manufactured in the moment, it was planted long before. It was there when you were formed, there when your purpose was spoken over your life, there when your identity was set in motion. Breaking does not create your essence. It exposes it, what you say, how you respond, what you believe. What you stand on in the middle of crisis reveals the roots of your life. You can talk faith when everything is working, but it's when the storm hits that we see whether faith lives in your mouth or in your spirit. You can declare love when everyone applauds you, but it's when betrayal enters the room that love is truly measured. The fire doesn't build your core, it reveals whether your core was ever built. The pressures of life squeeze out the truth, not the presentation. They expose the hidden, not the polished. And that exposure is not meant to shame you, but to shape you. God allows certain breaking points not to embarrass you, but to show you what needs to be refined, strengthened, or surrendered. Sometimes the bitterness that comes out under pressure reveals the forgiveness that hasn't been planted. Sometimes the fear that rises in crisis shows us where faith has not yet taken root. But it also works the other way. Sometimes the peace you find in the middle of the chaos proves that something holy is living inside of you. Sometimes the strength that comes out when everything else is falling apart shows that your foundation is unshakable. The breaking simply removes the distractions so the contents can be seen. The question isn't whether you will be broken. The question is what will emerge when you are. Because what emerges reveals what has been hidden, cultivated, or neglected. It shows what you've been feeding, what you've been believing, and what you've truly been carrying all along.